Pope's Robin Hood wired money for food to struggling transgender sex workers. Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, who is responsible for doling out charity in Pope Francis's name, said the act of kindness was normal for the Church. It was not the first time the Polish cardinal has made the news with his sometimes unorthodox ways of distributing the Pope's charities. Last year, he clambered down a manhole, broke a police seal, and reconnected electrical circuit breakers to restore electricity to hundreds of homeless people, many of them immigrants, living in an occupied building in Rome. Yeah, I'm thinking this guy's pretty based. Jesus hung out with prostitutes too, didn't he? This guy probably read the Bible, especially the part where Jesus did not judge nor discriminate against hookers. Probably. Maybe. Just sayin', I'm pretty anti-organized religion, but Mr. Rogers always said to look for the helpers, and this cardinal fucking helps. Bless this dude. Why is it so hard for some people to understand that you can help people that don't align with your religion or belief system? I understand some people are judgmental and do not do this, but generalizations only make things worse on both sides. Guess this is a cardinal I actually like for once. I don't understand why this is getting so much attention, Cardinal Konrad Krajewski told Reuters by phone on Thursday. This is ordinary work for the Church, it's normal. This is how the Church is a field hospital. They are really in difficulty because sometimes their passports were taken away by the mafia pimps who control them, he said. We follow the gospel. This is the Bible this atheist read. I think me and the Pope Frank would enjoy a beer together and see eye to eye on the issues of the day. I left the Catholic Church 15 years ago, in part because of how I was treated when I came out as trans. This isn't going to bring me back into the fold, but hopefully the love from this act can cascade through all the congregation and we can make a step towards unity after these leaps toward division. Wow, it took me about 10 times to understand that first sentence. I thought they were talking about the Robin Hood app. Also, how exactly do you wire money to transgender sex workers? As a Catholic, I'd say he's living out the mission of our church. Nowhere does it say not to help those who aren't like you. Unfortunately, some members of our church decide to take on that mission, but I'd like to believe most of us assimilate with Cardinal Krajewski. That's what Jesus would do. Listen, I'm an atheist, but the world would be a much better place if everyone acted like Jesus instead of just praying to their homebrew version of him. That act of kindness is normal for the Church. Sure, there is theological and moral debate on a variety of issues, including sex and gender, but when people need feeding, you feed them first. Certified Reddit moment title. For once one can say, this is what Jesus would actually do. Asterisk without being sarcastic. Cardinal Konrad's comrades would be a good action hero team. More of this. I think that's about as Christian as it gets. Good on him. The man sound like a decent human being. Forget he is a man of God. That is a decent gesture to people you wouldn't think he would want to help, but like he said. What would the big guy himself do? Great to lead by example. We could be looking at the future Pope. Finally, a clergyman who actually gets Christianity. This headline looks like something I'd see on The Onion. It's so twisted that it sounds made up. Everything is closed. They don't have any resources. They went to the pastor. They could not have gone to a politician or a parliamentarian. And the pastor came to us. I'm an atheist, but this is the place for religion in a modern society. To be there and be human when everything else has failed. I wish the church had a better record on this point. A true Christian, unlike those fake fucks over here selling COVID medication in the name of God. Jesus would have been so left-wing. Post, something good that Catholics did. Reddit, let's mention all the bad things that televangelists do and talk bad about Jesus. Religion does a whole lot of good for a lot of people around the world. Reddit likes to forget that. The more Christian thing to do would obviously be to let them starve/s. Treating people like human beings, that's a nice thing to do. Hell of a lot better than Jan Crouch handing out Jesus dolls to starving children. This is what I grew up thinking the Catholic spirit was about. Jesus approves. He loved sex workers the same as everyone else. What would Jesus have done if he were real? This. They're actually showing the love of Christ, so this was the right thing to do. Helping hookers is a total Jesus move. Pope's Robin Hood is a very misleading way to describe a man who was picked to run a church charity. Great guy, but not really how Robin Hood works. What's a transgender sex worker anyway? Ladyboys in Thailand. This is what religion is supposed to be like. This is how it should be used to help people. The Catholic Church has been humbled on a global scale in recent decades, and fortunately their leaders have responded to this mass exposure of corruption by making things right and actually helping those in need. This Pope is a solid dude. Him getting his spot is a bright spot for humanity these past bunch of years. That's good. The Vatican has so much money, it would be great if they could provide sufficient resources to help them leave the profession if they want to. I don't know if they still exist, but there used to be a Catholic charity that drove around picking up kids working as prostitutes that ran a shelter with food and counselors. Is it the prostitution or the transgender or the helping that bothers people? Asking for a friend. Love everything about this goddamn. It is absolutely normal for the church, and the quotation marks over normal are not needed. I think this headline is supposed to outrage some people, but who cares? I've never seen this headline about people who aren't trans, but I bet it's common. They give money to all people in need. Sorts by Constoverseal grabs popcorn.